Gypsy tells a story about picking up a BB gun and shooting Dee Dee 10 times with it.
I don't know about that.
You know the story? She thought she killed her?
No, there are some things Gypsy said she wants to talk to us about in person.
Okay.
So there's things that y'all probably know that we don't know, but good for her.
Hey guys, happy Tuesday. Yeah, 2 videos in a row because I didn't finish the video from yesterday. There was so much to go over, and I'm glad I waited because we had some new developments overnight. We're talking about the Gypsy Rose Blanchard case, and we're highlighting some things that have just come up lately. So if you missed the part 1 of this, it's called This Is So Messy. Go ahead and take a look at that. You really can watch this without watching that one too. They kind of are standalone videos, but it might make more sense. So we're going to continue here with what happened overnight. In case you didn't watch the first one, we're getting into this prescription pad that Gypsy Rose Blanchard found in her belongings, and it seemed to become this big deal. I mean, they kind of made it, or they, meaning Gypsy and her minions, her cult following, were kind of stressing out about it for over 3 hours on a TikTok live last night. I guess I had no idea. I was probably sleeping. But I woke up to Gypsy deciding to take matters into her own hands with this super old prescription pad. It's not even a thick pad. I don't know, maybe like 5 or 6. Anyways, I don't know what's going on. But here is what Gypsy did today. Let me go ahead and get that.
Last video, please do not zoom in on my gigantic blemish. Okay, so this is an update to my last video. Please do not zoom in on my gigantic blemish. Sorry, I had to start off that. So this is an update. I googled where I could take the prescription pad to be disposed of, and Google said that I can deliver it to hand it over to a pharmacy. So a pharmacy is a little closer than a police station for me right now. So I'm gonna go and bring.
I'm not sure about this part. I don't know if I'm not on TikTok a lot, but apparently I think, correct me if I'm wrong, or I don't know if this even happened. What was the impetus to make her go and do this? Just destroy it. Just, I don't know. Destroy. I don't know. Do we have to go to a pharmacy to do it? I don't even think they use prescription pads anymore. But anyways, this is what she decided to do. I guess maybe some other people on TikTok were discussing this and it upset her and she decided that she had to take this action. I don't know.
Yeah, so, and I'm going to record the whole thing. So let's go.
Riveting. Okay, so she gets up to the thing. Okay, there she's there finally. Okay, all right. I think she's trying to be responsible. Okay, thank you for that visual.
Okay, thank you.
That's it, right?
So, I was going through a box of old photos, and this is like 15 years old. My mom had stole this from a hospital, and I wanted to turn it in.
How do you...
Like, I could bring it to a...
My mom had stolen it from the hospital. Do you have to qualify it with anything? Do you have to? You murder. Oh, and the other thing is I murdered my mom. And then my mom stole it from the hospital. Oh no, wait, she stole it from the hospital first, then I murdered her. I mean, of course, we only have Gypsy's word for that, but
pharmacy.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, I'll shred it for you.
all right. Thank you so much. Have a good day.
riveting content. Here's one more. This was from last night too.
Like our stuff from the old Habitat house. So until now, it had never been photographed or seen in documentaries or anything. And so I recently came across it in a box of old photos. To my knowledge, it has never been used. I don't know. I mean, I could at least say there's no documentation of my mom using it. I don't know when she took it. It would have had to been between years 2006 to 2015.
How do you know she took it? Okay, we're assuming Gypsy didn't take it, but let's just say Gypsy didn't. How do you know your mom took it? How do you know it came into her? How do you know it got in your house? How do you know? I mean, it's just that this whole thing about you don't even need to talk about your mom. You murdered her. You did the most heinous thing you can do to anyone, right? I don't even get it. I don't even know.
It is legit. It's real. It's got like this reflector.
All right, she goes over. I don't know if you guys want to watch that. Go to her page. The thing is, I don't have time for this. So but what I do have time for is to talk about why this is such a big deal, because I didn't get it at first. I was like, I don't get it. What is going on here? Until somebody that's really into the case, one of my very good friend, had to point out, no, why this is a big deal is because this was the impetus, the prescription pad and Dee Dee's medicine closet, which we're going to get into, is how they started the Munchausen thing. Okay. And who are they? I'm going to play a clip now of who they are. Yes. Kristy. Yes. And Mike Stanfield. Now, let's take a listen to that so that we can understand, because I didn't get it. I'm like, why? What is the big deal about this prescription pad? Who cares? It's like from so long ago. And I don't understand what this has to do with the case. I don't understand what this has to do with the case. That's all I'm interested in. You know what I mean? And so it was pointed out. And after I listened to these clips, I'm flabbergasted. I didn't think I could get more flabbergasted about this case, but I am. So let me go ahead and let's listen to that. And I have to stop it every couple seconds, 10 seconds or so, because I don't want to get copyright strike from, I think this is from the prison confessions. I've only got the audio.
Inside Dee Dee's house. The one thing that did catch our attention was the one thing in the house that was absolutely immaculate, and that was the medicine closet.
Okay, that's Mike Stanfield talking there. He's saying the one thing in the house that was immaculate was the medicine closet. Is that the truth? No, it's not. I'm going to bring up after. We're going to discuss this.
There's breathing machines, there's gloves, there's,
Of course, that's Kristy.
all of this medication, all in rows.
We found a prescription pad that was stolen from the hospital.
Now, do you see they're tying in the prescription pad? They're tying in the prescription pad with the medicine closet. So just follow me here with what is going to happen.
That meant that now not only is she using medical means to abuse Gypsy, but now she can do it on her own. She doesn't even need a doctor.
So the prescription pad becomes a way for Dee Dee to medically abuse Gypsy on her own. You just heard her own attorney say something that ludicrous. I'm sorry. I can't with these people. I cannot with this, with the thinking of this. You saw the prescription pad was like 3 or 4. It was never used. There's no way for her to use it for anything. To do what to Gypsy? To do what? I'm going to back it up again and I'm going to show you how utterly ridiculous this whole line of thinking is. And yet, this is where the Munchausen starts and then it gets out into the public by the media.
Hospital, that meant that now not only is she using medical means to abuse Gypsy, but now she can do it on her own. She doesn't even need a doctor. What Dee Dee did to Gypsy was one of the most egregious forms of parental abuse you can imagine. She took her daughter's entire...
What are you talking about, you idiot? I don't want to go over the kind of heinous abuse children can suffer sexually, physically, rape, incest. When Mitch, my husband, worked as a detective, he did domestic violence for several years. That's why I'm so angry, because he would come home just devastated by some of these cases, the ones that involve the children. I mean, he can only do it for a year. It's that traumatic. It's that traumatizing to a detective. And so, but this idiot claiming because she had a prescription pad that somehow she was using the prescription pad to heinously abuse her daughter. Get the fuck out of here, Mike Stanfield, you piece of shit. I'm sorry. I know I don't usually talk like this. I know I usually don't get this animated, but it's so angry because of what I know about domestic violence when it comes to children. I had a husband who worked all those cases.
existence from her.
If I could go back.
After what happened to her.
I think that's the end of that clip. So now you have got the gist of where the prescription pad is married to the medicine closet as the beginning of see Munchausen. I know it sounds ludicrous, but this is the truth. And Kristy Blanchard was at the very core of it. She's everywhere on these clips, talking about the prescription pad, talking about the medicine closet. Okay. And we're going to get into some other things here now. All right. Here's the medicine closet. I'm going to get up some up close stuff. I'm going to go over what was in there. But what I'd like to do next is play some other clips from last night when they were talking about this stuff. So let me get that stuff so we can utterly debunk these fools.
Because Gypsy was on Medicaid, and that's where they started doing security more, like they got it was tighter security on people.
Okay, so this is from last night. This was a TikTok live. Gypsy's on it, and she's having her First Lieutenant Bree speak for her about the prescription pad and about her mother. And so let's take a listen, and then we're going to discuss, and I'm going to show you some things that why this is completely and utterly ridiculous.
Who had Medicaid.
Oh, by the way, sorry to interrupt one more time. Bree is talking about how this prescription pad would have kind of been obsolete because they soon after, whenever this prescription pad came out, Medicaid, which Gypsy was on, changed their pads and the way they did prescriptions. So basically what Mike Stanfield said back then is obsolete for a lot of different reasons, because I don't know how Dee Dee could have used a prescription pad to medically abuse Gypsy. By doing what? It's a Mercy Children's Hospital prescription pad. What is she going to do with it? What is she going to get? What kind of heavy drugs is she going to get with that? If she could even pull it off. Do you know what I mean? And the other reason it's ridiculous is because she's got a stockpile of medications in the medication closet. And here, Bree is actually not knowing that she's debunking. Yeah, well, Dee Dee probably couldn't have used it anyways. So there goes that theory. Yet that theory was used. The prescription pad, along with the medicine closet, along with the fact that Gypsy could walk. It was probably the dangerous triad of things that they used to say, look, Munchausen. Look, Munchausen. They had no expert say it. They pretend like they did, but I've thoroughly debunked that. There was no expert. I've debunked the people they name as the experts on the case. Okay.
But that's what I'm saying. So how dumb is it to try to call and report her for something when it's nothing? You can use it to take down a phone number. That's about it.
And I'm telling you, just having this gave, to me, in my opinion, gave Dee Dee a sense of like, I think anything she had, like it helped her build her. How did I put it? I was writing down notes earlier because I was going to make a video and I ended up just putting it in my drafts and I probably won't even make it. But it was more of like, okay, so, so Dee Dee loved medical props. She hoarded things like syringes, hospital forms, clinic notes.
How do you know what Dee Dee liked and didn't like, Bree? Did you know her personally? Did you transport back in time to the little pink house when they lived there? It's just
wristbands, papers with fake diagnoses on it that Gypsy didn't even have, old discharge papers, blank forms, literally.
Sounded like she saved a lot of stuff. Some people say she was a hoarder. I don't know if she was or not. It doesn't sound like Munchausen. Okay.
She has so many blank forms that have nothing in it, just blank forms.
Scary.
Outdated prescription sheets, outdated prescriptions, empty prescriptions. Literally like that.
You know what? This is weird. This is just a total side note. Okay. Cause I just thought of this right now when she's trying to list all of these things. And I don't even know if these are all the things that I'll take their word at it that Dee Dee had all these things, empty prescription bottles, the hospital, old hospital tags from when you're in the hospital, that she saved all these things. I'm not saying she was a hoarder, but I do know that a lot of times people that do save a lot of things like this, there's the people like I'm a thrower outer. Like I like love cleaning things out. I love cleaning things out and throwing things away. Get rid of it. We're not using it. Get rid of it. And Mitch is the opposite. And Mitch gets that from his mother. And his mother got that because she was born in Japan. And actually her father was killed by the Hiroshima bomb. And after the Hiroshima bomb leveled Japan and, Hiroshima, where she lived, and then later Nagasaki, Hiroshima turned into an empty wasteland. It was horrific to be there. There was no food. There was no water. This is actually nuclear fallout. Okay. In fact, his body, Mitch's grandfather, was just liquidated. He was so close to where the bomb went off, his body liquidated. They found his bike, but nothing of him. And so his mother grew up in this hellish atmosphere. And luckily she was further out, like in more of a suburb of Hiroshima. She was a little schoolgirl at the time. She did not get cancer from it, but she witnessed a lot of that. My point is that she's a saver, not a hoarder, but she doesn't throw things out. She thinks she can take something and she'll turn it use it into something else. Do you know what I mean? And this comes from her childhood. And Mitch, also being raised by her, is the same way. And this is sometimes where we butt heads, because I love throwing things out. I love getting rid of things. I wasn't raised I was very lucky. My parents were affluent, so I had things, and so this is, so what it reminds me of is, I know that Dee Dee's family wasn't like really poor, but I don't know what the circumstances were, actually of her upbringing, and it could be nothing like that. It could have nothing to do with her childhood. It could have something to do with her just psychologically not wanting to throw things out. It's just people are quirky and weird, but this has nothing to do with Munchausen. All right. Sorry for the long sidebar, but I just thought I'd share that.
She lived for that shit. Okay? Organize and binders of fake medical history. Yeah. Literally, that's one of the things I wrote, Sheena.
It's like the novelty of it.
One of the things I wrote on here, actually, I have it up here somewhere. Let me see. Where's it at?
You couldn't think of the words, but I was thinking that I bet that's what she's thinking in my head, because
yeah, and I literally wrote that too. Watch. I put medical props equals power for Dee Dee. Dee Dee collected medical papers, and
now Dee's diagnosing. She's like a psychologist.
All things medical, like a person collects souvenirs or pictures or fucking rocks. I don't know, whatever the fuck you collect, stamps, whatever. She hoarded all that shit, and a blank prescription pad would be like, she like it, like authoritative, or something she shouldn't have, which she also was known for doing that. She literally had 10 warrants in Louisiana for credit card fraud and stealing people's checks. And there was a woman that Gypsy and her lived with that they found out, the daughter of this woman, I have the records on that here. It was one of the things I brought from Gypsy's house. She literally was trying to open up credit cards in this woman's name. So yeah, I believe just having it made her feel powerful.
Hold on, there is a big point to this I'm going to make, so just hang in there.
It made her look like she had more authority than she did, like to herself. She carried around these giant binders with all her appointments in it, with all her fake ass shit up in it. I mean, Dee Dee spent a lot of time correcting doctors, even though she had been told by many other doctors that she was wrong about things, or that Gypsy doesn't have this, because she wasn't told in that way. But hold on. She recited these meds from her memory.
This is the part, pay attention. She recited meds from her memory. She
demanded procedures. She talked like a medical professional, was on Medicaid, and she recited these meds from her memory. She demanded procedures. She talked like a medical professional.
She talked like a medical professional. Remember that.
And she worked in the medical field, so a lot of this came from the...
I think at best she was a nurse's aide. She wasn't like, she wasn't like a registered nurse or a licensed vocational nurse. No shade at that. I'm just saying that level, and you do have to go to school for that, and it's a very hard job. And nurses' aides, I love them. They're some of the most caring and compassionate people I know. But no, they would not have any schooling really in medication or procedures or disease.
Knowledge of that.
No.
Let's see what else I wrote. I put even if she never wrote on it, she could use it to show it to someone to look like official. She could use it as paperwork to impress. Like, when I say impress, I mean like charity workers. Or she could have filled out ones. We don't know that. And used it as like to show neighbors or friends, or I gotta go, or even Gypsy, for all we fucking know, like her chemo shit. I'm not saying she did, but I'm thinking of all different things. She could have been like, this is for your chemo medication, even though it's really not. I'm not saying she did that, but there's so many different things. It gave her power, even if not with the doctors or at the pharmacy, even within her own home, her own self.
What gave her power? Are we still talking about a prescription pad? That pad right there? That gave her power. I don't even understand what we're doing here. The point I want to make is I want to go back to when she was talking about how Dee Dee was so smart about medical things, and she talked doctors into medical procedures, and she knew medical terminology, and she knew the medications, and she challenged doctors, right? That's what they're saying, right? Because if that was true, that is part of Munchausen. A lot of these Munchausen people, usually they're females, do have a very professional working knowledge of procedures, medications, stuff like that. Okay. That wasn't Dee Dee. You want to know how I know? Because I've read not all the medical records, but I've read her stuff that she's written. And I'm going to bring something up right now. Let's take a look at this. All right. Right here next to me where it's Dee Dee's list. It says Gypsy Rose's diagnosis. Does everyone see that? Okay. Epilepsy, vision impaired. Okay. The other thing is, and I'm no shade at Dee Dee, no shade, but she could not spell words that most people can spell. Okay. Hearing impaired, GI reflux. The next one, I've got it pointed out and I'm underlining it, quadriplegia. Dee Dee wrote on her list, Dee Dee, the medical savant, the genius who was at a doctor's level, right, of knowledge, who could get into the hospital and talk rings around nurses, wrote on this thing that her daughter had quadriplegia. Of course, that would mean Gypsy was paralyzed from the neck down. Why, if she was such a medical savant, would she write that on anything and turn it over to doctors and nurses? She wouldn't if she was a medical savant. If she was so involved in trying to, right? She got paraplegia, which she was trying to say that Gypsy had, and quadriplegia mixed up. If you're a medical savant who is so educated in medical terminology, as Bree just said, and Gypsy's on the panel listening to Bree talk, and deep down Gypsy knows, no, my mom wasn't like that. My mom didn't do that. She knows it. She's read this. In fact, Bree's read this before. Okay. Now, the other thing about this thing here, and I'll show you the medical closet in a minute, because remember the medical closet now, and that's Dee Dee's closet, has become this big thing. All right. And Bree said, Becca Scoops says it's inhalers in there. And she always downplays the medical closet. No, I don't downplay it. Here's the prescription. There's a lot of over-the-counter medications in that thing. And then there's tubing and it's not really a lot of prescription medication in there. So I went back and made sure that I was right about this. Here's the prescription medications found in the closet. Antibiotics. I think there was 2 different types of antibiotics. A seizure med, lisinopril, which is a blood pressure med. That was probably for Dee Dee. There's a steroid, prednisone that's in there, and then a few different kinds of inhalers. Now, that's the list of the prescription medication that's found in that closet. All right. I have a detailed list that I can go over, but I'm not trying to make this super long, this video super long. I can go over that on a live stream. Okay. We can go over that on a live stream, but I'm telling you, I just went over it today, and that's what is what. All right. But we're not done. We're not done, because so many other things, this really got messy. All of this got messy. Okay. So let me get to the next clip I want to go over. Before we get to that next clip, I want to bring up something that people were very upset with yesterday with the video that this one portion of Kristy, and I wanted to get to it at the end. I said I'm going to wrap it up with this video. I'm just going to do it now. So let's go ahead and take a look at this.
I think ever since my grandmother died, Dee Dee kind of went off the deep end.
The day that her mom died, Dee Dee was in the house somewhere, and Dee Dee was starving her.
Dee Dee was in the house somewhere and Dee Dee was starving her own mother. This is the allegation from Kristy Blanchard. Kristy Blanchard hates Dee Dee. Even though she was murdered, she still hates her. She still wants to malign her. She still wants to say stuff like this. What do you mean she was starving her in the house? This is going to make no sense when you listen to the rest of what she says here.
The day that her mom died, Dee Dee was in the house somewhere, and Dee Dee was starving her. Like Dee Dee wasn't giving her anything to eat. I asked her sister, I was like, I hate to ask this, but you think Dee Dee had anything to do with her mom's death?
Okay, so now she's going to ask Dee Dee's sister, who is also the daughter of the woman who died, right?
And she, said, now I wonder.
Now I wonder. So obviously, Kristy, are you the only one that knew that Dee Dee was starving her in the house? Because the way you're telling this, the sister, you're like bringing it up to the sister. Like, did you know that she's being starved? Were you with the immediate family there, Kristy? Were you in the household helping take care of Emma, the woman that was dying? Were you there? Where does this allegation come from? Because the sister obviously didn't know about the allegation. And just a FYI, if that was the day that she died and she wasn't consuming food, no, you're not genuinely, when you go into the dying process, the normal process. I don't mean like you got in an accident, okay? But when your systems start to shut down and you're going to die, you're not eating. You're not eating. And in fact, if it was the day she died, then she was probably already in the death rattle. You go into this certain breathing pattern. And if you've ever seen it, you know that person is not eating anything. They're not consuming anything. They are just trying to breathe. And that's why it's called the death rattle. So everyone was a lot of people, a lot of comments about Kristy calling her evil.
That's how evil she was.
That's how evil she was. That's how evil she was. She deserved to die, right? She deserved to die. She starved her own mother to death, people. Oh, but her other daughter didn't know about it. But Kristy knew, even though she's not in their family, really. Yeah, just really, really ridiculous bullshit stuff. All right, let's get to this other clip. Gypsy is just as elusive and just as perplexing. We have another video here about Gypsy wanting Bree to explain to her about her medical conditions. It gets kind of crazy here.
Is that your mom told different people different things? Like
Bree, I've got a quick question for you that maybe you could help me understand. But the post that I put with pictures of me when I was little that I had posted yesterday or whatever. Some people in my comments are trying to say that I had leukemia. Like they're like, you had leukemia. Bree, I never had leukemia. Like what?
That's a fancy story.
Girl, your mom said you had leukemia when you were 5 years old.
Yeah, but there's no what?
To doctors.
So Gypsy's like, what? Do you hear her? Like, this is like, she doesn't know anything about these allegations, right? Listen to this. She doesn't know anything about these allegations of leukemia or anything.
Fancy story.
Girl, your mom said you had leukemia when you were 5 years old.
Yeah, but there's no what?
To doctors, she said that, but to other, that's what a lot of people don't realize is that your mom told different people different things. Like the people that you were around, like in Missouri, you thought you had cancer. Your doctors thought you had it when you were 5, and your family back at home, who the fuck knows what they thought?
They probably knew the truth. Like my aunts and uncles on my mom's side and everybody, like they knew that I didn't have cancer, and so like.
Okay, so Obviously, the beginning of this clip is Gypsy saying, "Can you explain something to me, Brie? I don't understand. People are saying I have leukemia." And then Gypsy acts surprised, like, "I don't know. Where did this come? I've never heard of this before. Really? Really? That's odd. That's odd. Let's go ahead." And I'm not saying she did have it. That's a different discussion. But here's one of the reasons why certain people are very suspicious of this. Here we go. A clip with Melissa Moore. Melissa Moore is the woman who produced the Lifetime Prison Confessions and Life After Lockup. Here she is with Gypsy's ex-husband, Ryan Anderson. At the time they were still married. They are promoting, this is a promotion. They are with the Hollywood Reporter promoting the series. Let's take a listen to this, and this is going to tie into the leukemia.
Wanted to know her.
Now, this also ties into the prescription pad and the medical closet scenario narrative. Melissa Moore is a part of that. She brings up the binders. What are the binders? This is the other element that Mike Stanfield and Kristy Blanchard used to sell the Munchausen by proxy diagnosis to everyone. Kristy went out on social media. Stanfield sent his paralegal out, Patty Lou, out on social media to test the Munchausen narrative. And part of it was these binders. And this is what Melissa's bringing up. What are the binders? This is just how, remember they were talking about how Dee was organized, and she kept all of these medical documentations and stuff. She kept them in binders. That's how she organized things. So to them, that's really odd that she kept all the medical documentation and stuff about Gypsy's illnesses and procedures and everything else. And so they're known as the binders. And this was proof, along with the prescription pad and the medical closet, that no doubt Dee had Munchausen by proxy. Okay, so now you guys get all of it, and how Melissa Moore was a part of it. Let's go ahead and keep listening. Bone marrow transplant. What the hell are you talking about, girlfriend? What the hell are you talking about? I found a receipt, like you bought one, of a bone marrow transplant. Not a bone marrow biopsy. They're two different things. A bone marrow transplant doesn't happen unless you have been definitively diagnosed with some type of blood cancer. Okay. And the only reason I'm not sure of it is because Melissa herself isn't the best historian. Remember, she also says other things about Gypsy that just aren't true.
I was like, wow.
There's no way any doctor ever, anywhere, would do a bone marrow transplant without extensive testing and a diagnosis. Now, a biopsy is different. A bone marrow biopsy is to look for blood disorders, right? It's a biopsy, like the muscle biopsy, right? There's a bone marrow biopsy. But a bone marrow transplant means you've got some kind of cancer, usually. All right. And they're not going to do a bone marrow transplant unless, it's a transplant. It's not an exploratory surgery. It's not, we're looking to diagnose something. We already have the diagnosis and we're doing the bone marrow transplant. Follow me?
And who's the psychologist in this series? He said,
now this woman's going to bring up Dr. Fabian.
To that point, Dr. Fabian.
And we know Dr. Fabian looked at a few of the records and put them away, and then was going to really get into the case. And then Mike Stanfield calls him off and said, "Hey, we got a plea deal. We're not going to need your services. Thank you very much." But Dr. Fabian was still hired to be on some of these documentaries, right? To talk as an expert.
The psychologist, all of these people.
There's really nothing more of importance here with that. So that's that clip about the bone marrow transplant. Since we're on Melissa Moore, let's go ahead and stick to some other things that she says about Kristy in this prescription pad, since we are getting into this prescription pad and Kristy Blanchard's role in helping Gypsy sell this Munchausen by proxy narrative, helping and her part in it, her very active part in it.
From the beginning, she talked about getting them to participate. Was there hesitation from any
She's talking about them, Gypsy's relatives.
of her family?
What? Back it up. See how we're tying the prescription pad into seeing something that became bigger than we could imagine, meaning this became Munchausen by proxy. The prescription pad and Munchausen by proxy get tied. He's always been there for Gypsy. You can see that Melissa has absolutely no fucking knowledge of what went on. Yet she was front and center, Melissa Moore, along with Kristy, selling this narrative to any media outlet who would have them. So, hey, poor Dee Dee, God rest her soul, had no chance to have her truth told. Her truth was not told. It was these people, these idiots, this woman right here, this Melissa Moore character. As you know, her father was the happy face killer. I mean, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it for this is how she got involved with true crime. She's very ambitious and used Gypsy and cultivated that relationship for several years to get this Lifetime series that catapulted Melissa Moore. The next one she got was about Nicole Brown Simpson. And so Gypsy was her first big one that she did. It was her first time out doing becoming the producer. She was just a lowly correspondent for the Dr. Oz show when she met Gypsy and Kristy. And so she was in it for that. I don't know where she's at lately. Where are you, Melissa? You got some explaining to do. All right. What else do we have? Well, we have a few other things I'd like to go over also. Let's get to that. This next clip is this woman that was on the panel with Gypsy and Bree and the different people last night. She has a daughter who has, she said, that has a duplication. What's a duplication? Well, Gypsy has a deletion, a chromosome deletion, and this woman's daughter has a chromosome duplication. So where Gypsy is missing chromosomes, this woman's daughter has too many. All right. That's the easiest way I can explain it. And my heart, first off, goes out to this woman. I'm sorry. It sounds like a horrendous situation with her daughter. Her daughter is severely disabled. So that's what I'd like to say first off. Secondly, though, this woman had some things to say about different procedures her daughter had to have because of the chromosome disorder. And we're going to tie this in with Gypsy because she was tying it in with Gypsy.
Avoid it. I tried everything. Oh, and
so this is this woman talking.
Moms don't fight to get G-tubes for no reason. You fight against them. That's what a normal parent does. I fought against that G-tube. I pushed it off. I tried to avoid it. I tried everything I could to not get that G-tube placed. Because when that happened, I was like, okay, what's next? And then, you know what was next? A surgery, a Nissen. Oh, great. So we're going to do 2 surgeries at once.
I'm going to pause it here because this was quite telling. It's something that I've been saying all along, okay? What is this woman saying? And God bless her and God bless her daughter. She's saying that she fought against having the G-tube placed, right? She fought against that, as any parent would. You don't want your kids to have these things. Her implication is, and she believes Gypsy's story, and okay, but her implication is kind of like, well, Dee Dee wouldn't fight against that. That was something that Dee Dee was trying to get. There's no indication anywhere in any medical records that Dee Dee tried to get that at all. In fact, we have a few things we'd like to bring up. The second thing that woman talked about was after the G-tube, in tandem with the G-tube, she goes, she had a Nissan. What's the Nissan? That's that other procedure Gypsy also had in tandem with the G-tube. They did the G-tube and the Nissan fundoplication at the same time. They go hand in hand. All right, let's take a look at that. A G-tube and a Nissan fundoplication are often performed together. Now, my point here is Gypsy and this woman's daughter had chromosome disorders, issues, right? And they both ended up, Gypsy had the same thing. Gypsy had the same type of procedures as her daughter. My point is, isn't it more likely that Gypsy, like her daughter, was being treated for their chromosome disorder, that their chromosome disorder manifested in these GI symptoms? So what this woman says to me, it perked my ears because I'm like, aha, see, here's more proof that when you have a chromosome disorder, you will have these procedures. Okay. And they do go together. There's the proof right there. Gypsy, right up here, 2001, gets the G-tube and the Nissan fundoplication after extensive evaluation. And remember, I've said this time and time and time again. Gypsy, and this is the note here. You can pause to read it. I'm not going to do that. This is the doctor's note, okay, about how she had extensive evaluation in the feeding hospital before they did the PEG. Okay, the PEG turns into the G-tube. All right. And over here, this is just facts about the microdeletion. I didn't ask, when I said, give me facts and symptoms about microdeletion in my search query. All right. And these are the 5 things that came up: poor growth, failure to thrive, dysphagia, poor swallowing, and gastrointestinal issues, and no single cause identified. But the first 4 there are the most frequent things that happen if you have Gypsy's type of microdeletion. This is just proof that Dee Dee was not in doing anything. Gypsy had this disorder. Dee Dee didn't know what it was, meaning Dee Dee didn't know what symptoms would go along with it. Having a chromosome, a doctor telling you your kid has some type of chromosome disorder, that's a wide gamut of things. And as you see, Dee Dee wrote down Gypsy had quadriplegia, but yet we're supposed to believe that Dee Dee is some kind of a genius who could see into the future and then physically made Gypsy ill, that Gypsy didn't have any symptoms to go along with these procedures. It's just ridiculous notion. And we've shown the proof time and time again about these things. Right? Yes, we have. Okay. That doesn't mean people want to believe it. I understand that. Okay. So yeah, what else do we have for you? Let's take a listen to Melissa Moore and how enmeshed she became with Gypsy Rose Blanchard.
Have this relationship that she never got with attached. Like,
that's where another thing here Melissa is lying about. She is telling these people Gypsy didn't eat real food until she got to prison. That's why the bone marrow transplant thing to me is like, what? She talks out of her ass. She talks out of her ass. So I don't know the bone marrow transplant thing. Do you know what I mean? I mean, if I'm going to have to take her word, and then, yeah, if she had it, that means she truly had leukemia or some kind of bone cancer. But via Melissa Moore? Okay, I just want to back it up here. Just a side note. Melissa Moore is kind of a bitch. All right. And when Ryan says, like, let me make this bigger, because you guys got to see this. All right. So when Melissa, what she was saying here is, I wanted Gypsy not to get married. I wanted her to come out and be with her parents and do all these first. And it's funny because riding the bike and driving, those are things that did happen on the series. And of course, Melissa Moore was the producer of that. But watch here when Ryan tries to make a funny And Melissa is like, shut the fuck up. Watch how she dismisses him here. She does not like him, and it's.
How did you manage that attachment?
When in Gypsy's life has somebody else's needs come first? I mean, seriously, when in Gypsy's life up until this point, she murdered her mother, for Christ's sake. When did Gypsy sacrifice herself for somebody else's needs? Comment, let me know.
And
She did the mortal sin of being a producer or being a journalist, especially, being in journalism. You do not get involved like that with the subject. You're supposed to try to stay unbiased. If you're doing a reality series, you should be unbiased. You should be putting the reality forward, good, bad, and ugly, right? Good, bad, and ugly. But Melissa Moore was so invested in this and so blinded by Gypsy. She bought that whole thing hook, line, and sinker. She promoted the Munchausen by proxy narrative. She promoted Gypsy as a victim, as a 100% victim narrative. She was a huge part of it, along with Kristy and Mike Stanfield. So there you have the unholy trinity of Melissa Moore, Kristy Blanchard, and Mike Stanfield. All right, let me see what else I have. I'm going to end with this clip. I started with this clip at the end about Kristy saying that good for Gypsy for shooting Dee Dee with a BB gun, except Gypsy thought it was a real gun. Here's that evidence from one of our videos. Gypsy has changed her story once again about shooting her mom to ensure it isn't seen as too violent.
So did you think it was a real gun?
No, I knew it was a BB gun. Okay. Which, in certain documentaries and transcripts and stuff like that, some people are like, oh, well, she didn't know it was a BB gun. No, I knew it was a BB gun. Okay. So.
However, during her Lifetime series, Gypsy admitted she thought it was a real firearm.
When I shot my mother, I just remember thinking, like, oh my God, did I just do that? What did I just do? A couple of them hit her, a couple of them hit the wall, but the wounds were superficial. They barely grazed her. That's when I realized it was a BB gun.
Additionally, that's when I realized it was a BB gun. That's when I realized it was a BB gun, after I shot her. Stepmom Kristy's reaction to such a display of violence toward a woman who was ultimately murdered leaves us speechless.
Gypsy tells a story about picking up a BB gun and shooting Dee Dee 10 times with it.
I don't know about
You know the
that.
story? She thought she killed her?
No, there are some things Gypsy said she wants to talk to us about in person.
Okay.
So there's things that y'all probably know that we don't know. But good for her.
Good for her. Good for her for shooting that evil Dee Dee Blanchard. That bitch. She deserved it. Good for her. I'm glad Gypsy shot her. Yeah, that's what we're dealing with here. So now you guys have a little bit more knowledge. Some of you may have the knowledge. There's so much more. I could make like a 4-hour video on this stuff. There's so much more. So we'll keep going over some of this other stuff that I have. It is 2 days before Thanksgiving while I'm making this. And so this is going to do it for me until after Thanksgiving, guys. So I want to wish you guys a happy Thanksgiving. For my overseas people that watch this, I want to just say thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting my channel. I am most grateful this Thanksgiving for you guys. And I mean this sincerely. I am so thankful for this channel, for the community, that I can be a part of it. It's helped me mentally. I mean, we all have our issues with depression and stuff like that. And I just want to tell you guys that you guys have enriched my life so much. And it's been an honor, and it will continue to be an honor, hopefully, to be able to serve you guys with this channel. So thank you. Happy Thanksgiving. You guys mean the most to me this Thanksgiving. This has been the last 18 months of being a part of this community. There's been crazy times and there's been great times, but overall, my whole meaning is I am so thankful to know all of you and to be a part of your life. I'm honored. So happy Thanksgiving from Becca, Mitch, our kids, our animals. I hope you guys have a great day. And for the rest of you that don't do Thanksgiving this week, I'm thankful for you. I am so thankful. There's so many overseas UK people, Netherlands, Germany, Australia, all of you guys. I'm so thankful for you guys. All right. Thank you so much and have a great evening. I'll see you after Thursday. Bye-bye.